So, so earlier today, I decided to go to the George Floyd protest here in Odessa, and I took some videos. So I figured that I would just, try to edit out the boring parts and publish it. I don't like to be political, especially here on YouTube. I'd prefer to make only videos on my pseudoscience ideas, but I figured this one time I would break that rule. Earlier today, I decided to go to the protest, the George Floyd protest going on here in Odessa, Texas, and I took some video. And the only reason I'm making it into a video that I'm publishing to YouTube is because there were, I'm not sure if they were actually white supremacists, but there were people that fit the bill as white supremacists. And they were there, and they were the first people I ran into pretty much as soon as I got there. Well, anyways, though, when I got there, I where the march ended is where I thought it was going to begin, so I ended up in the wrong place. But it turned out to be a good mistake because when I got there, there was a group, a very small group, I would say maybe 5 or 6 white fellas. And at first, I just thought they were, normal, everyday white people. It wasn't until this lady comes up to me and asks me, I think she might have been Indian lady, I'm not sure. She might have been Hispanic, I'm not sure. But anyways, though, she comes up to me. She noticed that I spoke to them, right? And me being absent-minded, or I'm not sure what to call it, but I didn't notice anything inappropriate. It wasn't until she came up to me and asked me, should we call the cops? And it took me a bit to realize that she was referring, I think she might have signaled like this or something, that I realized that she was referring to those guys. And I said, no, they're not armed. I realized that she thought that they were white supremacists. And I said to her, they're not armed. I would have noticed if they had a gun or something. And I told her, but don't worry about it. I'll keep an eye on them, like if I could defend. Well, anyways, though, so I go back. It was just like 3 cars away. So I go back, and then that's when I noticed that one of them was wearing a bulletproof vest. And within the vest, he had bullets like Pancho Villa, but instead of on the vest. So anyways, and so I just kind of stuck around there. The actual crowd of protesters hadn't showed up, and then I noticed the same fella with the bulletproof vest. I think he put a gun under the vest, a handgun, I think. But none of them had their machine guns or anything out. It was just that vest, and they did fit the bill, as not just white, but that type of white, that you would suspect of being, I guess, from the South. I don't know how to describe it in a more friendly way. So anyways, so I stuck there quite a bit. Eventually, the protesters showed up, and I stuck there for a while, but they weren't doing anything. So I made my way across the street towards the crowd. And I'm glad I went, not just because of the white supremacists, but because when I was there listening to their speech, it did get me a little bit. It did get a little bit emotional, especially when this was a very young father, black father, with his very young son on his shoulders. I hope I recorded that. Hopefully it'll be in there. And I think it was at the same time that they were talking about that their kids shouldn't have to grow up in that type of fear of the cops, And there was quite a few people that spoke really well. I didn't record them. I was more interested in recording the crowd and especially those supposed white supremacists. So anyways, after a while walking around the crowd, I decided I would, and I realized that I had recorded them with my low resolution camera instead of my high resolution camera. So I figured I'd go back, walk by, and record them with my high resolution camera, which I just purchased, but I think I'm gonna return it. I'm not very satisfied with it. Well, anyways, though, it was my own birthday present to myself. Well, anyways. So I start going back, and then I run into another fella, or I see him a little bit of ways, like 20, 30 feet away, another fella with an actual machine gun, with it, hanging from his shoulder, talking to a guy carrying a cross. So I go up over there, and I decide I'm going to follow this guy. I'm going to make sure nothing horrible happens. And nobody seemed to pay him any mind other than myself. So anyway, so I'm following this fella in the crowd, and I'm trying to be nonchalant, trying to be covert. And because I'm being so covert, I end up losing him. And so that's how good a cop I would be, undercover cop. So anyways, so I just roam around the crowd looking for this fella, and I end up finding. Oh, and I was profiling the crap out of that place. I was looking for anybody that looked out of place, anybody that had a backpack. There was a lot of people with backpacks. Anybody that's had long sleeves. It's a hot day, or they had a jacket on. Like I said, it was a hot day, so all of those things would be inappropriate. And the weird thing is that there was a lot of white, early young that were wearing long sleeves, backpack that would fit what I think would be the profile for white supremacists or whatever. So anyways, also I run into, before I could find or the guy with the actual machine gun, I ran into this other fella that had a long sleeve shirt, was sweating, had a backpack that does not look like like your normal backpack. It was way too tight. It was full of whatever it had inside of it. It was full, and he had his face covered. I had my face covered too, so that was an issue. But still though, so I end up following this guy, and the thing is that this guy led me to that other guy, the guy with the machine gun. And they never spoke, but they stood right next to each other, one right behind the other one, for quite some time. And so I go around the car and trying to get close to the guy with the machine gun. I don't know what I was gonna do, other than maybe, I don't know, push him down or something. I don't know. I had no plan whatsoever other than to be close to a guy in case something happened. So anyways, so I end up losing the guy with the very suspicious backpack. But I stick with the machine gun guy, and so we're standing next to each other for quite some time, and I know that a way to sort of like in a relaxed way to speak to somebody is to wait for an opening. For example, to wait for them to sneeze or something where you have to say something, and then it's okay to talk to them, right? So I was waiting for some sort of a way in to start talking to the fella that would not seem abrupt or suspicious or whatever, So I'm standing there next to him, and I can't, what was it? He lifted the chains for some lady to walk by, and so I told him you could just unhook this chains, right? And so that was my way in, and so we started speaking, and it turns out that my profiling skills are horrible because he turned out to be a left-wing fella. He was pro-guns, but other than that, he was left-wing, or not left-wing, but liberal-leaning, I guess. And so I spoke to him for a while. He was exactly the same age, which I had already. He told me his age. I had already deduced that he was probably in his late 20s, and was probably harmless. But why would he be carrying a machine gun? We even spoke about the machine gun for a little bit too, and so anyways, though, so eventually I kind of let him be. I figured he was not a threat, and so I made my way back to the white supremacists, and by this time they were in their trucks. They were still there. There were, I think, at least 3, maybe 4 trucks, and all of them were inside. My guess is that they got hot and needed their air conditioners turned on or something. So anyway, so it was pretty much uneventful. A few things to look, ultimately uneventful, but a few things to look for in the video is that there was only one cop within the crowd, which was the chief of police, but there were cops all over the roofs. And there were at least 2 drones, those flying drones. And I'm pretty sure they belonged to the cops, because whenever I would see them go back to their stations on top of the roof to get new batteries or whatever, and then come back out. And this is a thought that I had after the fact, so I wish I had done this, but I should have gone inside to see My guess is that there was like a SWAT type of people inside waiting for some sign for them to rush out if they were needed, right? But obviously they were never needed. It couldn't have been more peaceful. People were really friendly. I got a free water bottle. I ran into a few people I know. They didn't recognize me because of my mask, and I was wearing a cap, which I hardly ever or never do. So, anyways, it was uneventful. It was as uneventful as it could have been. Other than I should have recorded what they were saying, because they were saying some very interesting, emotional, and right things. Like I said earlier, what really got me is when they were talking about young kids having to grow up in an environment where they know they cannot trust the cops. And hopefully I recorded it, but there was this young black man in front of me with his kids, with his little boy on his shoulders, as they were saying this. And I don't, you're not going to be able to tell from the video, but that did get me a little bit. That did I do fully understand their frustrations. You know, I guess that's it. I'm just gonna put the video, edit out a few what might be boring or redundant things, but for the most part, it'll be the video of me walking around the crowd, following a guy with a machine gun, and taking pictures or video of the white supremacists. And one of them had a Trump T-shirt, so make of that what you will. I guess here's the video.
To donate gift cards, little coupons for them to get a free ice cream or free hamburger. So then my idea of only sending out, 20, 30 care packages turned into sending out more than 100 something care packages. And
No. Are y'all guys here for the protest?
Yeah. Yeah, they were at Bank of America come down here a while ago.
Oh, I thought it was going to start here.
No, it started at the City Hall.
Oh, okay. Isn't that City Hall?
No, that's courthouse. City Hall is around on 8th Street. It's ending right here.
It's going to end here.
Yeah, it's going to end.
Okay. Thanks, man.
Uh-huh.
I'm sorry? No, I think they're not armed.
They better be.
Look. Looking for a place for a nice shade. I guess that's the only place way over there. That tree. Yeah.
Tomorrow they'll see how beautiful I am, and they'll be ashamed. I too am American. We come today to tell you that all those names that we've said, all of us, black, brown, white, every color under the rainbow, we too are American. We came together to hold this rally because there are some things that are guaranteed in the Constitution which we are not willing to sacrifice. Those things that we are, our goal and our trajectory and our plan is to create a more perfect union. We understand we can't have a perfect union is that everyone isn't treated equally. We understand that the Constitution guarantees some inalienable rights. And among those inalienable rights, the first thing is life. Before liberty is life. Before property is life. Before the pursuit of happiness is life. We come today to say we are not going to sacrifice life for any reason. We will not sacrifice, we will not be subjected to oppression, structural racism, structural indifference, educational prejudice, which threatens our lives. We are tired. We stand here in this moment. In the month of June, 155 years after a federal official stood on the beach of Galveston and declared the slaves in Texas free. Today we still say, 155 years later, where is the freedom? We can't be free if everyone is still treated unequally.
No, sir.
We still want to be free.
Yes.
We stand here today 65 years after Selma and the Edmund Pettus Bridge incident. We call it Bloody Sunday, where black and white and brown bodies were beaten on national television. The first time among many times in the nation's country where all folks could see how black folks and brown folks and our darker skinned brothers and sisters would be could be treated so unfairly and no one speak up. They were marching at that time for justice. Today we stand to say we're still looking. You can't keep unconscious violence. You can't keep microaggression. You can't keep issues within our education. Here in the city of Odessa, where we have elected officials are openly at risk, sometimes at work. We have the best every day posted on their social media pages. This is how we get justice. Posting pictures of the news. Enough is enough. We know we will be close to God. We will be next to God. We will have a meeting. But the situation we expect enough is enough. And you know that it is good. This part, I want to say this, and I can't. I don't want to miss this. We have a chief of police who says, what do you need and how can I help? He said, what do you need and how can I help? We are the best. I won't on. Come on.
You matter because you don't see near as many educators who look like you. You matter because it is not a crime to gravitate towards peers who look, think, and go through the same experiences you do. Being in a large group amongst each other is not a crime. Many have been questioning why protests in Odessa. Those incidents are happening miles and miles away. Well, you deserve to know. On January 23rd, 2020, there was an article written in the Odessa American that released a few eye-opening percentages. You deserve to know. In a district with nearly 34,000 students, you only make up 4%. That's 1,400 students, district-wide. You deserve to know, in a district, you make up 48%, almost half, of all out-of-school suspensions compared to the 20% of your Caucasian peers and the 17% of your Latino peers. You deserve to know your school mimics the society you live in. You deserve to know in a system designed for you to fail, you can and will be successful. You deserve to know that you will not any longer be judged by the color of your skin, but by the content of your character. James Baldwin said, the paradox of education is precisely this, that as one begins to become conscious, one begins to examine the society in which he is being educated. We are conscious, we are examining, we are educating, and we are aware. These percentages are alarming and need to be dealt with. What will we do to change this? The question has been posed, what's your solution?
Enough is enough. Our next speaker is Hannah Horrick with the Crisis Center of West Station.
Hi everybody, like Gavin said, my name is Hannah Horrick. I work at the Crisis Center of West Texas.
take a picture?
Oh, yes, you can.
Do they say the same?
No, mean the same thing, but say different things.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
For Black Lives at Large. I thank you for your trust in us, the people. Thank you. It's my name is Micaela Anan, or Michaela, my folks. This is what community looks like when we show up and show out for each other and with each other. I'm honored and I'm floored beyond anything for the foundation that I have to stand here right now. I wouldn't have known then how to hold the struggle that I see in the world around me now. I wouldn't have known how to hold the contradictions that I'm seeing out in the world and understand that in my mind. I wouldn't know how to hold that in my body. Because in high school, what I heard from the media, or the political leaders, or maybe even people in this community, was that Black and criminal, Black and dangerous, Black and thug. Sound familiar? Instead of what I knew to be true, Black and smart, Black and beautiful, Black and precious beyond belief. That high school graduation was 8 years ago. Today, 2012 folks, today. In 8 years, we've seen the murders, plural, murders.
Yeah, you're the same age as my kids.
Yeah. How old are you?
52.
Don't look a day over 40.
Thanks.
But at the end of the day, man, I don't want people to feel like they can come in here and intimidate intimidate folks with bad intentions. Everyone here should have the right to feel safe. And those bikers last time, man, I don't fuck with that. It's not fair. They didn't deserve that. Those fucking militia boys over there last time, I don't fuck with that. It gets me heated. No one here should have to feel unsafe because people want to yell and try to riot up or rile them up and incite them.
Do you mind if I put you on YouTube?
Yeah, go for it. I don't mind.
Can I ask you your name?
My name is Jason Simpson.
Simpson?
Yes, sir. Like the cartoon.
Good cartoons, yeah.
Yeah, you gotta let me see this later.
Sure.
But I don't mind. I have nothing to hide. Not at all.
Yeah, I was over there with the on the other side of the street with those that I think they're right wingers, and one of them had not a machine gun but a gun out, but he stuck it in the back of his pants, I think, and he had bullets and stuff all over him.
Oh yeah.
And so I was a little bit worried, and I stayed with him a little bit.
Black Lives Matter!
Whose lives matter?
Black Lives Matter!
Make some noise, make some noise.
Oh my gosh, the whole group of people behind.
Let's go!